there. I'm wanting to address a situation that I have some friends who like to say that they can't sew. And or I hear people in the store, you know, oh, I can't do that. Oh, I don't have the equipment to do that. So I'm wanting to let my friends who tell me this, that they can. If they can work a cell phone, if they can cut, because really the sewing machine is just, it's another piece of machinery. You can drive a car, you can work a stove, you can work a food processor. It's just a matter of being comfortable, familiar. It's a matter of not being afraid. And I'll tell you, that's something I discovered with myself. I've been afraid. And life is just so much more fun when you try things and you're not afraid. So what I'm going to do today is pretend that you do not have a mat, you don't have cutters, you don't know the first thing about sewing. But you think you might like it, or maybe you've got a sewing machine in the closet. Maybe Grandma gave you one or left it to you, or Great Aunt Sally or Susie or something. Let's get over our fear and let's figure out how to do some things. So, the first thing, I want to look at pre-cuts. And pre-cuts, it's just like the word says. It's fabric that has been pre-cut. Now, if you know somebody with a mat and a ruler and rotary cutter, or you just have scissors and you want to cut it out, each one out by hand, that's fine. Or you can buy them from the store. So I'm going to first of all do a quick demonstration of how you would do it if you had a mat and a cutter. And then I'm going to show you my pre-cuts, and then also a pre-cut that you can buy from the store. Okay? So first of all, I'm going to show you if you have fabric and you already have a little bit of equipment that you can pre-cut your own fabric. So here we go. Alright, so if you're wanting to cut your own, which is probably cheaper, I'm making mine 4.5 inches by 4.5 inches. And I do have this wonderful ruler and this great mat. First thing that I'm going to want to do is even up my top edge. So I'm just going to set that there. We're just going to run that across. That way I've got a nice straight edge so that my squares will all be the same. I think also too, people, when they think about quilting, they're like, oh, they want to make the really fancy and intricate designs. And you know, if you look on Facebook, on some of the quilting sites, pages, they're doing these wild, very intricate, very difficult, very advanced quilts. And that's wonderful. But it can be really intimidating to those of us who, you know, are not that good. I am, for the most part, self-taught. And this was just something that I liked doing. Now, I like to get rid of the selvage there at the end. So I'm kind of lining everything up. Yep, it's 4.5 inches. It's good. And I'm just going to measure that. 4.5 inches. Straighten her up just a little bit. 4.5 inch square. There we go. 'Tis done. I'll do the rest of that later. So you've got some 4.5 inch squares. And I have some that I already cut out. For me, the cutting is just not the fun part. The sewing together is the fun part. And the cutting can wear on your back a little bit. So I have some fabric that I've already pre-cut. It's a variety of my leftovers. I had some fabrics that I'd used. Okay? Or you can go to the store and you can buy pre-cuts. So this package is 5-inch squares. Okay? You have 21 pieces. And if you look on the back, it's going to show you the different. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 7 different patterns in this package. There's 21 pieces. That means you got 3 of each pattern. Let's open it up, shall we? Now my squares are 4.5 by 4.5. And that's just was an arbitrary, just an arbitrary number, size. And what you can do is just kind of look through and see all the pretty. Now, there is an upside to doing pre-cuts. The upside, buying them, is that your blues and your pinks should all match. Okay? Because sometimes that is a difficulty, trying to match up the purples or the blues and the pinks. You know, there are different shades. So this is one thing that, at least with the pre-cuts, when you buy them in the store, that they should be from a collection, and it just takes all the thinking out of it. So if you're not good with colors, you don't have a match, you don't have the ruler, these things, maybe you don't have space, maybe you're not sure you're going to like it, well, why spend the money on investing in these things then? You know? Keep it simple. Try it with some pre-cuts first, okay? You can also buy some off of eBay. You can buy some pre-cuts from Amazon, Walmart. Your local quilt shops will usually have some pre-cuts. But what can we make with a pre-cut? I'm so glad you asked that question. Let me show you. Not the most intricate. This is your basic 9-patch. And it's called a 9-patch because there are 9 squares. Easy breezy, right? You could also make a 4-patch. A 4-patch has 4 patches, 4 squares. But we're going to do a 9-patch. That's what I want to show you how to do today. Using my pre-cuts, I'm just going to take 3 of my colors. 3 different ones. And we're going to seam. Let's get the rest of our other versions out so we can see what we're working with. Now the downside, I have 7 colors. I'm going to need 9 patches. So that means something's going to be duplicated in our patch. But that's okay too. That works. We're good. I am a pinner. I did not used to be. I am now. And there's a reason for that. And I just want to show you my machine. It is a sewing and embroidery machine, but I've got it on the sewing. I have a basic foot on there. The number 1 rule, whatever seam allowance you use on the first one, you need to use throughout. And that way everything will even up beautifully. And if it's not perfect, it's okay. But I'm going to use my center needle. Okay, that's the needle position. This one is all the way over to the left. When I press the center needle button, that's where my stitching is going to be. And then I'm going to sew right along this line, the edge of my foot. And that should give me a good seam. And as long as I do that, each and every time, they'll come out even and similar. Okay, so we're just going to match up. I'm going to put this one in the center to just kind of give it some variation. Kind of get this all evened up. And then I'm going to pin it. There's a reason why I pin. And it's because I had to learn the hard way that the fabric will slip and slide and you don't get it even. Alright. So, evening it up there on my with my foot. Lower the presser foot. And then I'm going to sew. Alright, now I'm going to take the third one here, and again I'm going to right side to right side. Very important, and yes, there is a reason why I say that, because I have done it, where I've done one of them the wrong side and it didn't look so good when I turned it out. It happens. That's why if you have a seam ripper, it's your friend. Alright, I'm just going to sew this. Now, I am sort of like Henry Ford. You know, he was the one who had the assembly line thing. We could go ahead and take this over to the pressing table and press this and then come back and do our other 2 rows of 3. But I'm going to do all my sewing first, and then I'll go over and I'll press all of my rows together at the same time. Ease of motion, energy, conservation, which is very important for me. I have myasthenia gravis, which is a fatigability disorder. And I can get really, really tired. And life can be real difficult. Let's see. And myasthenia gravis it's a fatigability. My muscles don't want to respond. I get tired. I am fortunate that we have the room for me to have this little space downstairs, and that my husband knows that this makes me happy, that he wants me to do this kind of thing. So, if I had to open up my machine and clear a table each and every time I wanted to sew a couple seams, I don't think I'd do it. So, I'm going to finish up making these, and I will be right back. Alright, so we have made 3 rows, and we've pressed them, and I pressed them in a very special way, and it's important. So this was our top row, and I pressed my seams inward. My middle row, I pressed outward, and then my last row, I pressed inward. This is important, because you're going to take your top row and your middle row, and then you are just going to just nest that in right there, and it fits in beautifully. And you can see that it's going to have a nice match on the seams. So let's get our pin in there. And I tend to do it right before and sometimes right after, to make sure that I get that nice corner, that nice seam match. Here in Chattanooga, we've got a couple places It's so nice to go shopping at. There's Hider Hangout up in Cleveland, Tennessee. Owner's, oh, she's a doll. And then we've got a place it up in Hickson. I think it's called Pins and Needles. Time to Sew, it's Sew Time. Variety of different little shops that you can get pre-cuts. And they will be more than happy to help you. If one shop is not seeming all that friendly, just go to the next one. Oh, Chattanooga Quilts in Ottawa. Now, if you're an online shopper, of course, there's Amazon and eBay. Alright, so we've got that pinned down. We've got these nicely nestled to make sure that we've got a nice crisp point. And you're just going to sew that down. Remember, whatever setting you had on the first one, I'm going to keep that setting. And I'm just matching the edge of my fabric up with the edge of my foot. My plain, basic old foot. There is no sense in you going out and buying all kinds of special feet for your machine. I'm not sure if you're going to like it. And then we're just going to do the same thing with the next one. Just take the pins out. And I could go and take this and press it. But I think I'm kind of a Henry Ford type of gal. I like to do the assembly line. Having myasthenia gravis, sometimes it can be a real downer. And I have to say, conserve energy. Energy conservation. So if I can stay seated and doing what I enjoy, which is the actual sewing part, great. So just pin that. See, we're not even squaring up afterwards. A lot of times when you're doing the triangles and things, I always like to square up to make sure everything's the same size. These should just be perfect. And if they're not, the way we're doing it should give a lot of forgiveness. Okay, sew that down. And we have just made a quilt block. What do you think about that? After we press it down, our quilt block is done. I'm not sure the tea kettle's had time to let out its steam. This should be about a 12 by 12. Oh, nope, 14 by 14 block. Now you can do something else with it. It's going to take a little bit more work on your part. But you could put a border around it, like I've done with this. I cut out some blues at 4.5 inch squares, and I'm putting a little border around it. So why don't you go make up 4 or 5 of these. Get your 9 patches, practice with your stitching. And if you're a little off, and if your corners are a little off, it's alright, don't sweat it. You know? I'm quite certain that Dorothy Hamill fell down on the ice quite a bit before she got her gold medal. And we're going easy, simple, but still going to be awfully pretty, and you'll still be proud of it. So make up 4, 5, 6, however many you want to practice of your 9 patches, and I will see you next time to show you what you're going to do with it next.